7 Secrets to Becoming the Woman Everyone Fears Losing. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Carl Jung. Have you ever met a woman whose presence lingers long after she's gone? Not because she was perfect, but because she was real, grounded, and deeply unforgettable. In today's video on spiritual wisdom, we're diving into 7 secrets to becoming the woman everyone fears losing, not by changing who you are, but by remembering who you've always been. These powerful principles, rooted in Jungian psychology and spiritual truth, can help you reclaim your worth, radiate authenticity, and build the kind of inner strength that leaves an impact. If even one idea resonates with your soul, I invite you to comment below. I am becoming the woman I was born to be. Let's explore what it means to live from your deepest truth and become unforgettable from the inside out. Secrets. 1. Unshakable authenticity. She doesn't wear masks to please others. She's not interested in impressing the crowd or playing a role that feels hollow inside. Her presence is powerful because it's real, unapologetically raw. She walks into a room not with perfection, but with presence, and that's what makes her unforgettable. In a world that rewards the polished and the curated, she chooses something far rarer: truth. People may not always know why they remember her, but they do. It's not her beauty, though she may be beautiful. It's not her success, though she may be accomplished. What they feel, deeply and quietly, is that she is whole. Her authenticity is not a pose or strategy. It's her resting state. She doesn't perform vulnerability to seem relatable. She embodies it because she's lived through pain and didn't allow it to harden her. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And she has claimed that privilege, not by accident, but by choosing, every single day, to strip away what doesn't belong to her, to drop the need for approval, to walk with her shadows, not hide them, to live in alignment, even when it costs her comfort or popularity. She knows that being real doesn't mean being reckless. It means being rooted, grounded in self-awareness, led by intuition, guided by inner truth. The strength she carries wasn't born from praise. It was forged in silence, in solitude, in learning to hold space for all that she is: light and shadow, chaos and clarity. She isn't fearless. She's simply tired of betraying herself. So she speaks up when it's inconvenient. She rests when others hustle. She says no without guilt. And most importantly, she doesn't shrink to fit into boxes she was never made for. You can feel it when she talks. She's not trying to sell you anything. She's just present. And in her presence, others feel safe to drop their own masks too. That's her gift. Not in what she does, but in who she dares to be. She lives from within, and that's why she can't be replaced. The unforgettable woman is the one who is deeply remembered not for perfection, but for presence. Her power lies not in being everything to everyone, but in being fully herself. No apologies, no filters, no masks. In a society obsessed with image, her truth is a revolution. And once you've known a woman like that, you never forget her. Not because she tried to be irreplaceable, but because she never tried to be anything other than herself. Have you ever chosen to be fully yourself, even when it wasn't easy? If yes, share your story in the comments to inspire someone today. If not, simply comment, "I choose to be real." Let's walk this path of unshakable authenticity together. Secrets. 2. Integration of light and shadow. She has walked through her own darkness and made peace with it, not by denying it, not by burying it beneath perfection, but by facing it with unflinching honesty. Instead of seeing her flaws as shameful, she sees them as maps, each one pointing toward a lesson, a truth, a hidden strength. She knows that spiritual wisdom doesn't come from pretending to be whole. It comes from becoming whole. And wholeness requires integration, not just of the light, but of the wounds, the doubts, the anger, the pain. She doesn't wear a mask to appear kind or composed. She is kind because she has embraced her rage. She is composed because she has faced her chaos. There is nothing passive about her peace. It was earned through inner battles most will never see. While others run from discomfort, she leans in. When others numb, she feels. When others hide, she reveals. And in doing so, she becomes emotionally rich, anchored not in fantasy, but in the truth of who she is. Her presence doesn't scream for attention. It commands respect, not because she demands it, but because she embodies it. She has taken the parts of herself she once feared, her insecurity, her jealousy, her anger, and instead of silencing them, she listened. She learned. She grew. She gave them names and space. She let them speak, and they softened. In that softening, she transformed, not into something new, but into someone more fully herself. She no longer needs to be rescued, fixed, or chosen. She has chosen herself. She moves through life with a quiet confidence that cannot be faked. You can feel it when she enters a room, the calm of a woman who no longer needs to prove her worth. She doesn't react to insults with desperation or panic. She responds with clarity. She doesn't crave constant reassurance because she has learned to soothe herself. This is spiritual wisdom in motion, the ability to hold space for all that you are without apology. And it is this rare kind of presence that people cling to. Not the woman who tries to be everything for everyone, not the one who molds herself to fit expectations, but the one who simply is real, raw, whole. She is not afraid to be misunderstood because she understands herself, and that understanding is magnetic. People don't fear losing her because she manipulates or begs to be kept. They fear losing her because her love is not born from neediness, it is born from choice. Her love is sacred, not transactional. It cannot be earned through performance or control. It is given freely, but only to those who see her, truly see her, in all her layers. This woman is unforgettable because she has become the mirror that reflects everyone else's truth. And when someone meets her, they don't just meet her. They meet a part of themselves they had long buried. And that, more than anything, is why no one wants to let her go. Are you ready to embrace both your light and your shadow? If so, comment below. I choose wholeness to show your commitment to healing, growth, and authentic self-integration. Let's walk this transformative path together. Secrets. 3. Emotional independence. She doesn't need love to feel whole. She chooses love from fullness, not from a place of lack. There's no chasing, begging, or clinging in her world. Her relationships are not built on emotional dependency, but on mutual respect and energetic alignment. When the vibe feels right, she engages. When it doesn't, she has no problem walking away. She doesn't see love as a lifeline, but as a beautiful bonus. That's the difference between craving and choosing. And the moment she made that shift, she stepped into her true power. This kind of woman doesn't fear solitude. In fact, she thrives in it. Silence doesn't scare her. Being alone doesn't trigger her insecurities. Instead, it becomes the space where she reconnects with her essence. She's not out there performing for approval or desperately trying to be seen. She already sees herself clearly. And that self-awareness is magnetic. People feel it before she even speaks. Her presence carries a calm depth that cannot be faked. She knows love should never cost her peace. She's not afraid to walk away from anything that disrupts her inner harmony. Because she's done the work through heartbreak, reflection, healing, and spiritual awakening. She has stripped herself of illusions, faced her emotional wounds, and stood in the ashes of what once broke her. That kind of fire doesn't destroy, it purifies. And from it, she rises not bitter, but wiser. Not guarded, but discerning. Her heart is open, but only to what honors her soul. She doesn't demand energy. She inspires it. She doesn't manipulate for affection. She becomes the kind of woman whose energy lingers long after she's left the room. Because her love is not desperate, it's divine. And divine love isn't loud. It's not chaotic. It's not needy. It's steady, grounded, and rare. That rarity is what makes her unforgettable. That strength is what makes her the woman no one wants to lose. And what fuels this emotional independence is not ego. It's alignment. A deep inner knowing that her worth was never up for debate. She doesn't compete for love. She doesn't play games. And she doesn't shrink herself to be chosen. She simply exists as her full self. And from that space of wholeness, she loves. Not because she needs someone to complete her, but because she wants someone to evolve with her. That's not romance. That's sacred partnership. This is the essence of spiritual wisdom. Emotional independence is not coldness. It's clarity. And when a woman lives from this truth, when she has the courage to love without losing herself, she becomes the kind of woman whose absence feels louder than most people's presence. If you're ready to love from fullness, not fear, go ahead and like this video, subscribe for more spiritual insights, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's attract emotionally aligned connections together. Secrets. 4. Purpose-driven living. She doesn't live on autopilot. She moves through life with intention. Every step she takes, whether it's a small morning ritual or a major life decision, is guided by something deeper, a sacred fire within. That fire is purpose. It's not about achievements or applause. It's about alignment. Her life flows from a core truth that she refuses to betray. That's why when people meet her, they feel something. It's not just confidence. It's not charisma. It's a magnetic presence born from spiritual clarity. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakes." And that's exactly what she's done. She's turned inward, stripped away the noise, and faced the silence most people avoid. In that silence, she met herself, not the version others told her to be, but the real one, the one with scars and strength and soul. That's what makes her captivating. It's not perfection, it's depth. Her presence doesn't scream, it speaks. It doesn't demand, it inspires. You feel safer, stronger, and more alive just being near her, because she reminds you of something you've forgotten about yourself. Purpose isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself with grand gestures or dramatic declarations. It shows up in how she chooses to spend her time, in the things she says no to, in the way she stays true to her path, even when it's hard. Maybe she's not famous. Maybe she's not even understood. But she knows what she's here to do. And that knowing fuels her every move. She's not waiting to be chosen. She's already claimed herself. In a society obsessed with performance, she's a presence. While others seek applause, she seeks meaning. While others follow trends, she follows truth. She doesn't need validation to feel valuable. Her worth isn't attached to how many people approve. It's woven into the way she wakes up each morning and chooses to keep going, keep growing, keep aligning with her soul's voice. This is what Carl Jung called the process of individuation, the journey of becoming whole. And she's walking it with grace and fire. She could be anyone. A woman sitting quietly at a cafe with a worn notebook and a tired smile. A teacher staying late after class to listen to a student's fears. A mother who traded her career for time, not because it was easy, but because it was right. A healer creating light in a world that feels heavy. It's not the role that defines her. It's the reason behind it. She's not driven by fear of missing out. She's driven by the desire to live fully, consciously, truthfully. That's what gives her radiance. That's what makes her unforgettable. Purpose gives her power, not the kind that dominates, but the kind that frees. She's not here to impress. She's here to express, to live her truth, not someone else's script. And in doing so, she reminds others that they can too. If you're ready to live with intention and radiate purpose, comment below. I am aligned with my purpose to claim this energy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to inspire others to live purposefully too. Secrets. 5. Sacred boundaries and self-respect. Not everyone deserves access to her. She knows this not in bitterness, but in clarity. She protects her energy like a sacred flame, refusing to let just anyone draw from her light. There's a quiet strength in her presence, the kind that doesn't shout for attention, but commands it nonetheless. She doesn't explain her worth or justify her limits. She lives them. When people ask for more than she's willing to give, she doesn't argue or apologize. She simply honors herself. Her boundaries are not fences to keep love out, but filters to keep chaos from getting in. She understands the power of no, not as rejection, but as redirection. Her no means she respects herself enough not to betray her needs for someone else's comfort. This kind of inner discipline is rare. In a culture that rewards self-sacrifice and performative kindness, she chooses something different: alignment. She doesn't chase people, doesn't beg for understanding, and doesn't linger where she's not valued. She doesn't need to be validated by others because she is already rooted in her own knowing. That's not coldness, that's spiritual wisdom. She has learned that her peace is more important than their approval. And when she walks away, she does so with grace, not out of spite, but out of sovereignty. She doesn't waste time trying to fix what she didn't break. She's not afraid of distance because she understands that solitude sharpens intuition. She's learned to befriend silence, to listen to her own heart, to stand still in her own power. People feel her absence in ways they didn't appreciate her presence. That's the paradox of the woman who lives in truth. The more she honors herself, the more unforgettable she becomes. She doesn't try to prove her worth through service, beauty, or sacrifice. She proves it through presence, through the way she holds herself, through the way she protects her time, her space, her emotional bandwidth. She's selective, not because she thinks she's better than anyone, but because she finally realized she's not for everyone. And that's her liberation. Her energy isn't random, it's intentional. And that intentionality becomes magnetic. People are drawn to her, not because she gives endlessly, but because she doesn't. Her life is curated by choice, not obligation. She's no longer available for people who test her boundaries, drain her spirit, or mistake her compassion for weakness. And when she loves with depth, but never at the cost of herself. She has stopped romanticizing emotional labor as proof of devotion. She now understands that real love begins where self-respect lives. Her presence is a privilege, and she knows it. Not because she thinks she's superior, but because she has finally stopped abandoning herself to belong. This is what spiritual wisdom looks like in a woman. The fierce commitment to self, the gentle refusal to betray her soul, the graceful exit from anything that no longer nourishes her. She is not easy to access. She is not easy to forget. And that is exactly why no one wants to lose her. If this message speaks to your soul, repeat after me. I honor my energy. I set sacred boundaries. I choose self-respect. Let these words anchor you today. Secrets 6. Feminine-masculine balance. She has reached a rare and magnetic state, the inner union of her feminine and masculine energies. In Jungian terms, she has integrated her anima and animus not as opposites, but as two sacred forces within her. She flows with intuition and tenderness, yet stands with clarity and strength. She can hold space for others in their pain, and also hold firm boundaries to protect her peace. This balanced polarity within her is not only empowering, it's irresistibly attractive. Without effort, she radiates presence. Without trying to be anything, she becomes everything. Her feminine energy is her softness, her intuition, her ability to nurture and feel. Her masculine energy is her direction, her decisiveness, her ability to lead herself. When these energies are at war, a woman may feel torn, too emotional to lead, or too controlling to love. But when they are in harmony, she becomes a force of nature. She is both the ocean and the mountain. She moves through life with deep feeling and precise action. And this rare balance speaks louder than words. It's the calm in her voice, the unwavering eye contact, the gentle strength in her presence that makes others pause and take notice. Carl Jung wrote, "Wholeness is not achieved by cutting off a portion of one's being, but by integration." She has done exactly that. Instead of rejecting the parts of herself society told her were too much or not enough, she reclaimed them. Her sensitivity became her strength. Her assertiveness became her grace. She no longer asks permission to exist fully. And because of that, she no longer depends on others to make her feel whole. She walks into a room not to be seen, but to see, not to impress, but to connect. And in doing so, she becomes unforgettable. This kind of wholeness is a deep spiritual awakening. It's not found in perfection, but in balance. It's not loud, but it's felt. She no longer fears abandonment because she no longer abandons herself. She doesn't chase love because she is love. She doesn't demand respect because her energy commands it. That is the power of integration. That is what makes her the woman everyone fears losing, not because she clings, but because she doesn't need to. In a world addicted to extremes, she is the rare middle path, soft and strong, loving and sovereign, intuitive and clear. She doesn't choose between being the goddess or the warrior. She is both. And that is what sets her free. That is the embodiment of spiritual wisdom. Do you feel the power of your inner balance awakening? If so, declare it in the comments. I embody divine harmony, strong, soft, and whole. Secrets. 7. Fearless evolution. She doesn't cling to who she used to be. She lets go of expired labels, outdated roles, and expectations that no longer match the truth of her soul. While others stay stuck in identities that feel safe, she embraces the unknown with open arms. Her evolution isn't loud, it's steady. It isn't for applause, it's for alignment. She changes, but never at the cost of her essence. And that's why people remember her, because she is both fire and foundation, both fluid and unwavering. Carl Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And she lives by that. She doesn't resist transformation. She invites it. She allows herself to break down so she can rise clearer, freer, more whole. Even when it's uncomfortable, she trusts the deeper wisdom moving through her. That is what sets her apart. Not her perfection, not her performance, but her willingness to rebuild herself from truth, again and again, without apology. There was a time when she might have stayed silent to be accepted. Now she speaks, not to impress, but to express. There was a time when she molded herself to fit into someone else's life. Now she creates a life that fits her soul. Every version of her that she leaves behind becomes a layer of wisdom. She doesn't fear walking away from people who only loved the past version of her. They were never truly in love with her, only with who she pretended to be. And she's done pretending. Her power comes from presence. When she enters a room, it's not her looks or status that captivates. It's the quiet confidence of someone who knows who she is becoming. She doesn't need to prove herself because she is already grounded in purpose. Her spiritual awakening didn't arrive in lightning bolts. It came in quiet choices to let go, to trust, to choose herself. Again and again. And every time she chose herself, she became more magnetic, more real, more unforgettable. People fear losing her, not because she makes them dependent, but because she awakens something sacred in them. She mirrors what they could become if they stopped hiding. Her growth gives others permission to grow. Her honesty disarms their defenses. Her evolution reminds them of their own dormant power. She is a mirror, not a mask. There's no begging in her energy, no chasing. She has learned that those who are meant for her will honor her evolution, not resist it. And those who fall away, she lets them go with grace, because she knows nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal is worth clinging to. She lives her truth even when it costs her comfort, and that truth becomes her peace. This is the essence of fearless evolution, and this is why she's the woman everyone fears losing. Not because she tries to be irreplaceable, but because she dares to become fully herself. If this message resonates with your soul, declare it boldly in the comments. I embrace my evolution. I grow with courage, grace, and purpose. And if you feel this deeply, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Someone else may need this reminder too. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the powerful truths that define the woman no one dares to lose. Remember, it's not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to who you truly are. Each of these 7 secrets is a mirror, reflecting your strength, depth, and quiet confidence. When you embody authenticity, presence, and emotional wisdom, you become unforgettable, not because you try to be, but because you already are. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to like, share this video with someone who needs it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more transformative insights. Make sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming videos. Until next time, stay grounded, stay radiant, and always walk in your truth. Nobody and nothing will affect you again. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. At Spiritual Wisdom, we believe that true peace begins the moment you stop giving the outside world the power to control your inner state. In today's video, we explore a powerful truth. Nothing and no one can affect you unless you let them. When you understand the roots of your emotional reactions and learn to master them, you reclaim your energy, your joy, and your freedom. Imagine a life where your peace is unshakable, no matter who walks in or out, no matter what chaos surrounds you. That life is possible, and it begins with awareness. As you watch, reflect on this. What triggers still have power over you, and are they truly yours to carry? Comment below with your thoughts, or share how you've started reclaiming your inner power. Let's grow together. 1. Nothing can affect you unless it finds a wound inside you. Nothing can truly affect you unless it finds something unhealed within you. This truth, echoed by Carl Jung, reveals that the world outside you holds no real power unless your inner world allows it. When someone insults you and it hits a nerve, it's not because their words have magical force. It's because a part of you believes it might be true. Emotional pain doesn't arise from the comment itself. It's the inner wound that reacts. That's where the work begins. People often live like emotional puppets, pulled by strings they can't see. A strange look, a cold tone, a careless word suddenly. The day is ruined. But why? Because deep within, there's something unresolved, waiting to be acknowledged. Carl Jung taught that most of our suffering comes not from the event itself, but from our resistance to the message it carries. Every trigger is an arrow, pointing to a part of us that's still asking to be healed. There's a silent freedom in realizing this. Because once you understand that nothing external has power over you unless it resonates with something internal, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You start becoming the observer. And in that space, transformation begins. You no longer react out of old pain. You respond from present awareness. That's the essence of spiritual wisdom, turning emotional chaos into clarity by listening deeply to what your inner world is trying to say. Take the story of a young man named Daniel. At work, a supervisor once accused him of being unreliable. Just a few years earlier, those words would have shattered him. He would have gone home drowning in self-doubt, replaying the moment over and over. But Daniel had done the work. He had faced the root of that insecurity, which stemmed from a father who never kept promises and made him feel like he didn't matter. So this time, instead of spiraling, he paused. He checked in with himself and realized, this isn't about me. It's their projection, and I don't have to carry it. He responded with calm and walked away with his peace intact. Carl Jung often spoke of the shadow, the part of us we don't want to see. But when we ignore it, we give it power. When we face it, we reclaim that power. That's why someone can be insulted and feel nothing, while another person hears the same words and crumbles. The difference isn't in the insult, it's in the wound. Until the wound is healed, we keep reacting as if we're still bleeding. Healing doesn't mean you won't ever feel discomfort again. It means discomfort won't control you. You become aware. You begin to witness your reactions with curiosity instead of judgment. You ask yourself, why did that hurt me? Instead of blaming others for your pain. And slowly, layer by layer, the wound loses its grip. You become grounded. You become whole. Emotional mastery isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about being so deeply rooted in self-awareness that chaos can't pull you out of alignment. The goal isn't to avoid conflict, but to rise above it, not in arrogance, but in calm understanding. That's when nobody and nothing can affect you, not because the world changed, but because you did. Have you ever paused to ask yourself why something affected you so deeply? If this video helped you uncover a hidden wound or brought clarity to an emotional trigger, share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help someone else heal too. And if you're ready to face your inner truth, comment, "I'm ready to heal," to begin this powerful journey of self-discovery. 2. Emotional mastery begins with self-awareness. Carl Jung taught that making the unconscious conscious is the path to self-mastery. Most people move through life unaware of the inner forces controlling their emotions. They think the world is doing something to them, but in truth, life is only reflecting what's already within. Reactions don't come from outside circumstances. They come from the unresolved parts of us. If someone ignores you and it triggers anger, it's not their behavior that holds the power. It's the hidden wound inside you that feels unworthy, unseen, or dismissed. Once you realize this, you stop giving your power away. True emotional mastery begins with self-awareness. The moment you recognize your reactions are mirrors, not attacks, you begin reclaiming your strength. You are no longer tossed around by every insult, delay, or inconvenience. You become the observer of your inner world. You begin to ask, why am I reacting this way? What part of me is being touched right now? This act of mindful observation breaks the cycle of automatic emotional responses. Instead of reacting from pain, you begin responding from awareness. That space between stimulus and response becomes sacred. It is where spiritual wisdom lives. Spiritual wisdom teaches us that the things that trigger us the most are the greatest opportunities for growth. Someone might disrespect you, and in that moment, your ego wants to fight back, to defend itself. But if you pause, if you watch the reaction rise without immediately obeying it, you begin to see the deeper truth. That person is not your enemy. The reaction is not a curse. It's a compass, pointing to an area in your soul that is asking to be healed. The more you observe, the more you learn. The more you learn, the less power the world has over you. Emotional freedom doesn't mean you never feel. It means you are no longer ruled by what you feel. You experience anger, but it doesn't control you. You feel fear, but it doesn't define you. You face discomfort, but you no longer run from it. You understand that all emotions are messengers, not masters. They come to teach, not to trap. This shift transforms your inner world. The chaos around you may continue, but you remain grounded, clear, and steady. The modern world thrives on reactivity. Social media, traffic, news cycles, they all invite you to be triggered, to be outraged, to be unsettled. But the one who has mastered themselves does not react out of habit. They respond from presence. This presence creates peace that no one can steal. That is the mark of true strength. And it all begins the quiet decision to observe your emotions instead of becoming them. This is not avoidance, it is awakening. It is remembering that nothing and no one can affect you unless you let them. The storm may rage around you, but the stillness within becomes your power. If you're ready to reclaim your power through self-awareness, comment below. I choose mindful mastery. 3. Shadow work is the key to inner freedom. Shadow work means turning inward to face the uncomfortable truths we've buried: our fears, our shame, our suppressed emotions, and the parts of ourselves we've rejected in order to be accepted. It is not a trend or surface-level practice. It is the heart of deep transformation and true spiritual awakening. Every time you feel offended, triggered, or emotionally unsettled, something within you is being revealed not by the world, but by your own unresolved wounds. As Carl Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. These emotional reactions are not coincidences. They are sacred mirrors showing you what still needs your love, your attention, and your healing. When someone disrespects you and it stings, the pain isn't just about them. The reaction comes from a deeper place inside you, perhaps a childhood memory of being ignored, unworthy, or unseen. If you didn't believe it on some level, it wouldn't land so heavily. That's the shadow calling. It hides in your reactions, waiting to be acknowledged. The truth is, nothing external has the power to affect you unless it finds resonance within. The moment you stop blaming the world and start learning from your emotions, you shift from victimhood to inner power. That's the beginning of real freedom. Growth happens when you pause, look within, and ask, why did this upset me? What belief about myself does this touch? That simple curiosity becomes a door to spiritual wisdom. In that space, you stop playing defense and start building awareness. The more you bring light to the unconscious, the less it controls you. That's how you become untouchable, not because life stops being difficult, but because your inner world stops being dictated by chaos. You respond instead of react. You choose instead of collapse. Shadow work also reveals your hidden gifts. The same place that holds your wounds also stores your suppressed genius. Many people fear their anger or sadness, but these emotions, when understood, can become sacred fuel for your creativity, boundaries, and authenticity. Jung taught that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. Real light work begins in the shadows, not in bypassing pain, but in walking directly through it with courage. This journey is not easy, but it is necessary. You reclaim lost parts of yourself and step out of unconscious patterns. You stop being emotionally manipulated by others because their actions no longer determine your worth. You see clearly. You speak truthfully. You stand firmly in your center. No one and nothing can control a person who has faced their own inner darkness and chosen to rise. That is the essence of spiritual awakening, the merging of shadow and soul into one integrated self. If you're ready to break free from old wounds and embrace your true self through shadow work, don't hesitate to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's heal, grow, and rise together. 4. Letting go of control makes you powerful. The more tightly you cling to control of people, situations, or outcomes, the more you unknowingly drain your own power. It's a paradox most people live in, believing that control equals strength. when in truth, it signals fear. The fear of being ignored, misunderstood, or abandoned often drives the need to shape how others behave or how events unfold. But the moment you release that need is the moment you rise above the chaos. Carl Jung taught that the external world is merely a mirror reflecting the unresolved parts within us. If you find yourself needing constant validation or respect, it means there's a hidden wound inside still questioning your worth. When your peace depends on how others treat you, you've handed your power over to them. It's like being on an emotional leash. Your joy and confidence pulled in every direction by someone else's actions or approval. But imagine not needing their applause. Imagine being so rooted in your own inner knowing that silence doesn't threaten you, rejection doesn't shatter you, and misunderstanding doesn't disturb your calm. This isn't about being emotionally numb, it's about being emotionally free. Think of someone you know who radiates unshakable presence. They don't argue to prove a point. They don't chase after attention. And yet, their energy commands respect. That's the kind of strength that's born not from force, but from surrender. When you let go of needing things to go your way, you begin to see clearly. You stop reacting. You start choosing. And that's when you begin to embody real power, the kind that Carl Jung referred to as the mastery of the self. True strength lies in spiritual maturity. It's the quiet courage to trust the timing of your life, to know that everything you need is already within you, and to release the illusion that control gives you safety. The one who no longer needs to control is the one who can influence deeply. They don't demand, they inspire. They don't chase, they attract. That's the beauty of letting go. You stop being a prisoner to every situation. You stop being triggered by every opinion. And instead, you begin to observe, respond, and stay centered no matter what storms rage around you. This is where spiritual awakening begins. When you no longer seek peace outside of yourself, you awaken to the truth that nothing can touch you unless you allow it. You begin to see clearly. You are not here to dominate life, but to align with it. And in that alignment, you become a force that is both grounded and untouchable. Letting go is not weakness. It is wisdom. The kind of wisdom that Carl Jung devoted his life to revealing, that your inner world shapes your outer reality. So, as you release your grip on control, what you gain is far greater: peace, clarity, and the unshakable power of your authentic self. Do you feel the shift within you? If this message speaks to your soul, affirm it in the comments. I let go of control and step into my true power. 5. Perception shapes your entire reality. Reality itself carries no inherent meaning. It is your perception that shapes it. As Carl Jung said, it all depends on how we look at things and not how they are in themselves. The same situation can either break someone or awaken them. What makes the difference is not the event, but the internal lens through which it is interpreted. This is the heart of spiritual wisdom, the understanding that your inner world gives birth to your outer experience. Two people can walk through the same storm, and yet one feels crushed while the other feels cleansed. One sees the darkness as punishment, the other sees it as preparation. The storm doesn't choose, it simply is. But the mind filters, distorts, amplifies. It draws meaning based on wounds, beliefs, and unresolved emotions. And because of that, your perception becomes your prison or your liberation. When you shift your perception, life shifts with you. not because life changed, but because you did. There was a woman named Maya who got fired from her job. At first, her thoughts spiraled into fear. I'm worthless. I failed. But as the days passed, something deeper stirred. She began to question those thoughts, and in that questioning, a new path opened. What once looked like loss became redirection. She pursued her long-forgotten love for holistic healing and launched her own practice. Nothing in the external world changed overnight, but her perception transformed her pain into purpose. Spiritual awakening is exactly this: the reclaiming of your interpretive power. When you stop reacting and start observing, you step into a higher frequency of consciousness. Someone ignores you? You don't spiral, you reflect. A door closes? You don't collapse, you stay curious. This is mastery. This is the space where nothing can affect you unless it finds something unhealed within you to attach to. If it doesn't resonate with a wound inside you, it passes right through you, like wind through an open window. The deeper your awareness grows, the more you realize that peace is not given by the world, it is built within you. And once you build it, the world can no longer take it. You begin to see life not as a series of attacks, but as a mirror reflecting your inner state. In every delay, you find alignment. In every rejection, you see redirection. In every loss, you recognize expansion. This is the wisdom that turns ordinary experiences into sacred lessons. Because when you understand that perception creates reality, you stop blaming the world and start reprogramming your lens. You choose faith over fear, meaning over confusion, growth over stagnation. And that is when nothing and no one can disturb your peace, not because life became easier, but because your spirit became stronger. If this message opened your eyes to the power of perception, leave a comment of clarity. I choose to see with wisdom. My reality is shaped by my mindset. 6. You are not your emotions. You are the observer. Emotional detachment is not numbness. It's the clarity that arises when you realize you are not the storm, but the sky. You are not the emotion, but the awareness witnessing it. Like clouds drifting across an open sky, emotions come and go, but your essence remains untouched. Most people live in constant reaction, tossed around by every emotional gust. But in the moment you pause and observe, instead of reacting, you awaken a deeper power within. That power is awareness, the space where spiritual awakening begins. Carl Jung taught that what we fail to make conscious will rule our lives. If anger, fear, or sadness controls you, it's not because they are stronger, it's because you've mistaken them for who you are. But you are not your fear. You are the one who notices it. You are not your sadness. You are the one who feels its presence without being consumed. The moment you step back and witness the emotion instead of becoming it, you shift from chaos to consciousness. In that moment, there is no longer just a reaction, there is a choice. This space between stimulus and response is where transformation happens. It is the most sacred space in your inner world, where the noise quiets and clarity emerges. In that stillness, you begin to see why certain emotions arise. You understand that someone's words did not make you angry, your old wound did. You realize that fear didn't just appear. It was summoned by your mind's attachment to control. These insights don't come from thinking harder. They come from seeing clearer. And seeing clearly is the fruit of awareness. Spiritual awakening is not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. You do not suppress your feelings. You allow them to pass through you like wind through the trees. You no longer identify with every surge of energy in your body. Instead, you become a steady witness, a grounded presence. Over time, this witnessing becomes your strength. You feel deeply, but you do not drown. You love fiercely, but you are not undone by loss. You embrace joy, but you are not addicted to its presence. This is emotional freedom. To live like this is not to disconnect from life. It is to be more fully alive. It is to walk through chaos with grace, to hear criticism without collapsing, to feel triggered and still choose peace. You are not here to be controlled by emotion, but to learn from it. Every time you choose awareness over reactivity, you become more of who you truly are. Calm, conscious, unshaken. And that is the real power of spiritual wisdom. If this message helped shift your perspective, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your reflections in the comments below. Let's continue exploring the power of awareness and emotional clarity together. 7. When you stop reacting, the world starts responding. When you stop reacting, everything around you begins to change. People no longer push your buttons because they realize those buttons no longer work. This isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about mastering yourself so deeply that chaos loses its grip on you. Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." When you stop being emotionally hijacked by the outside world, you begin to live from the inside out. Your power comes from within, not from how much control you have over others, but from how much clarity you have within yourself. That quiet power, what some call an untouchable energy, is the result of inner work, not outer manipulation. You stop needing to prove anything. You stop chasing validation. You begin responding instead of reacting, and that's where true peace lives. Most people are reactive by habit. They let a rude comment, a disappointing text, or an unexpected event ruin their day. But when you've done the inner work, when you've faced your shadows, healed your wounds, and stood in your own truth, those same situations lose their power over you. You become calm, composed, and centered, not because the world is perfect, but because you are no longer controlled by it. There was a man who used to flare up at every inconvenience, traffic, emails, people interrupting his plans. One day, he came across Carl Jung's teachings on projection. He realized that his frustration wasn't about the world, but about the parts of himself he hadn't yet accepted. So he stopped blaming and started observing. Slowly, he began to reclaim his energy. The world didn't stop being chaotic, but it stopped stealing his peace. That's the moment he understood. It's not about changing the world. It's about changing how you meet the world. The moment you stop reacting emotionally, others sense the shift. Those who once tried to control or manipulate you fall silent. They can no longer access your energy because you're no longer offering it freely. People begin to respect your silence. Your calmness becomes intimidating, not because you are cold, but because your boundaries are no longer negotiable. You've reached a place where inner stillness speaks louder than words. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to fight for space. Your presence commands it naturally. Carl Jung taught that the unconscious rules our lives until we make it conscious. So every time you catch yourself about to react, pause. Ask, What inside me feels threatened? That question alone can reroute your entire day. And the more you practice this, the more you shift into true alignment. This is what spiritual awakening looks like. Not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of it. You no longer live on autopilot. You live on purpose. Eventually, you realize that the less you react, the more life responds. Not from fear, not from urgency, but from grace. Your emotional sovereignty becomes your shield. Your stillness becomes your wisdom. And that is when you understand the true power of self-possession. If this message resonates with your journey toward inner power, declare it in the comments. I respond from strength, not reaction. And if you're ready to keep rising above the noise, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. More wisdom is waiting for you. And remember this: the moment you stop allowing the outside world to control your inner world is the moment you reclaim your true power. As Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Let this be your awakening. If this message has brought clarity or peace to your heart, don't forget to like, share this video with someone who needs it, and subscribe to Spiritual Wisdom for more powerful insights. Be sure to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a moment of deep spiritual awakening. Your journey to unshakable peace has only just begun.